great song. All right, let's do a little Bye Bye Love by the Cars. Song came out in 1978, and again, I remember vividly. I was 7 years old when the song came out, and all those cool bands of the 70s with the synth. And I'll show you Greg Hawkes' I broke this song down in 6 parts, and I believe his synth riff is part 5. Here it goes. And I know he's probably doing a synth, and I'll show you that. We'll switch it, and I'll record underneath it like I did Steve Winwood's Valerie, and While You See a Chance, and a few others I did like that. So you could tell it doesn't sound exactly like the song, but I'm tracking the same chords underneath as the artist is doing. So let's get into this. Bye Bye Love by the Cars. I broke this song down in 6 parts. And I'm trying something new with my volume. I had it at 40 out of 100. My H4n set to 40 the whole time, and I upped it to 50, so let's see how the volume comes out in this video. So, okay. So, part 1, the intro, they do you could do it two-handed. It's basically a B, C sharp, and D. So, it does it 3 times. And then the E. So, after it hits the E, it goes... That's part 1. So again, remember, that's why you always have to listen to the bass first. The chords are an E, a D, an A, and then an E on the right hand. So if you match the bass, it would sound like... It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like... Of course, and that's part 2. So part 1 is E, D over E, A over E, and then E. And then this is part 2. E, D, A over C sharp, E. That's all it is. You know, and then the same with the verse. I can feel this way much longer, expecting to survive. Can see that from here with all these hidden, just waiting to arrive. With all these hidden, just waiting to arrive. Such a wave in midnight, it's talking too insane. You know. So that's basically the song. So it's E, D over E, A over E, and E. That's part 1. Part 2 is the E, D, A over C sharp, E. Part 3 is the It's an Orangey Sky. Always it's some other guy, F sharp minor. G major 7, it's a broken lullaby, and then Bye Bye Love. It's basically E, a B, and an A. And sometimes they do an A sus too. Bye Bye Love. And then Greg Hawkes' synth solo is that, probably synth. Part 4 is the Bye Bye Love. So it's E, a B, and an A. Sometimes they do an A sus too. That's part 4. Then it repeats, does another verse, another chorus, synth solo. So part 5 is the part you guys all wanted to know, and I'll get into it in detail. And I do apologize, guys. I'm going to go back to the very beginning in my first video a couple years ago and read every request and start working from the very beginning till now. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me, and just working full-time, being a construction guy. I apologize about my dirty fingernails. I did gas pipe yesterday. Life of a construction dude. So here we go. And part 6 is the end, and they do a little something cool. They do an E, B minor 7, A, and then right into the part 2. Same thing, E, B minor 7, A. And it does that 4 times, and then I'll show you how they end the 4th time. They go. and on the E. So let's get into this. So just like I said, part 1, you could do it one-handed if you're a beginner and you're just starting out. So he goes, I don't know if he does it up here. You can see he's doing it with 2 hands. That's pretty much it. And that's I left that part of part 1. I don't want to separate that, but it goes. And then E, D over E, A over E, and E. And that's all part 1 is. And then part 2. So, part 1, doing slow, is right from the intro. I'll just do it up here. So the timing is 1, 2, and then that's part 1. And then part 2 is, that's all it is, an E, a D, an A over C sharp, and back to an E. So part 3 is, it's an orangey sky. So basically, when I listen to the chords, it's basically a G major 7. That's a G major 7. I don't like 4-note chords with my right hand. I don't have big hands. If I could pull off playing 3 notes in my right hand, I will, versus 4, unless I'm doing figuring and broken chords. So basically, it's a G major 7, but I do a B minor above a G. As long as that G is on the bass, that's a G major 7, I'm sorry. I said minor 7. G major 7. It's an orangey sky, is a F sharp minor over C sharp bass, F sharp minor over C sharp. Then it's G major 7 again. It's always just some other guy, and then really an F sharp minor, just something like that. So you could hear, and then third time G major 7, F minor 7 over C sharp, and then part 4. That's part 3. Part 4 is the by love. So part 3, once again, I'll just do it slow. I don't know if I did part 2 slow. Let me just back up. I'm jumping ahead here, but part 3 slow is, so it's basically a G major 7. That's basically an F sharp minor, and then G major 7 again, F sharp minor above a C sharp, and that's it. That's part 3. And then part 4 is by love. There's an E, a B, and an A. That's all it is. By love. Sometimes he throws an A sus2 in there. By love. 4th time. By love. And then substitution, mass confusion. And if you listen in the background, the substitution, mass confusion, he's doing the synth. So he's going with the synth, but really he's following the chords, remember? E, D, A over C sharp, E. E, D, A over C sharp, E. So that's pretty much it. That's why everything revolves around chords and songs that you guys love from the 60s, 70s, 80s. Put the volume here. Okay, let's keep going. So, part 4, it's all it is. By love. And they're doing fifths. They're doing like... And you hear Greg Hawkes coming with the synth solo, and that's part 5. So we did part 4. It repeats again. It's an orangey sky. Yep, here we are, part 5. Greg Hawkes is cool. And so let's go back to synth. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to stop the camera, and I'm going to do just like with a couple other videos. I'll record underneath. You're going to be able to tell it's not the song. You're going to tell it's my music. But I'm going to use the same chords they do when they track underneath. And I'll show you that part in detail, that all the notes Greg Hawkes hits in the synth solo. So here we go. We'll see you in a second. Okay, so we're back. So we'll take it right from here, right from the. When he hits the B, he goes. So there's 4 lines to the synth riff. The first line is, I'll just do the bass underneath the whole thing so you can hear it. So it's. So the E, the A gets twice as long as the E and the B. So the synth riff, I'll just do it slow. It goes. It comes in on the B down here, and then he goes. Count 6 times. That's all he does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the second line is. Third line. Fourth line. So here we go. Let's just do that slow. First line is right after the. Now this one, notice it's an E chord, a B minor 7, and an A sus2. And he just follows the E scale down. So part 1 slow all the way through is. Go back to piano. So it goes. Okay, so the way Greg Hawkes does the synth solo in the video, now I can't do this at the same time. I want to go back, but just picture that. So the way to do the synth solo is. And then he goes. Now, as much as that part looks, if it looks intimidating, it's not. Trust me, just do it a few times. All it is if you remember Jump, Van Halen, when Eddie does the and at the very end he rolls it. All you're doing is you're doing that same thing at the very last 3 lines of Jump on that last at the A flat. Right here. When he rolls it. And that's all he's doing here. So he hits the A first, though. That's the only tricky part. You need your second hand there. So it's more like a. And then he goes. So all you're doing is you're. And then when you get back up to the B, that's when he does the. And then up here. So I'll just do them slow. Here's line 1. 6 times, that's line 1. Here's line 2. Here's line 3. That's when he hits that D with his left hand, and then he goes. That's all it is. And that last part, if it's confusing to you for timing, I know it's 3 notes. It's a triplet. You know, it's 3 notes, but it's 4/4 times, so it's going. So the timing is. See how it ends up there? So it's kind of, if you're a beginner and you're starting out, the 3 notes on the right hand, and then doing 4/4. It's not the easiest thing, but you just get used to it doing it a few times. So it's every 8 notes is when the bass changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here we go. One more time with the synth solo. So it's. So it's. Just like in Jump, the last 3 lines when he rolls it, after the A, you're not missing a note. You're just going. Like I said, it's an A sus2 chord. You're only hitting. You're only hitting the notes of an A sus2. Now this last part, the 4th line, here we go. The fingering that I use is right when he gets done with the. Now right there, I use these fingers, my pinky finger. So one more time. So all you're doing is you're going. Just like Jump, how he rolls it. And then last time he goes. Now the fingering I use for that last one is. It's the easiest. If you want to do this right-handed, you just have to practice that. That's the hardest part when you go. If you do it one-handed, but it's here we go, slow. Let me just back up one more time to line 3, and then we'll go to part 6. We'll finish up. Line 3, the fingering is middle or pinky finger up here, and then thumb on the E, and I switch over to my middle finger on the D, and then switch not to my middle finger but my ring finger now on the D, and then that makes it so that when you go. Your thumb here on the A, you can just jump right down, and or on the video you could do like he does in the video and hit the D with your thumb, and then the. So that's pretty much it. One more time because you guys want to see it. Nah, let's just go back to piano. So here we go. One more time, and then we'll go to part 6. So part 6, it does something a little bit different. 4 times it goes the same chords as the synth solo, E, B minor 7, and then A sus2. So he goes. So to end the song, they do 4 times. They go E, B minor 7, A or A sus2, and then part 2. Remember the E, the D, the A over C sharp, E. So it does that 4 times. The very last time, the last two times they go an actual B, A, and then the and they end on the E. So slow, right from the very those four times it goes part two, and then same thing, E, B minor 7, A. Does that four times, and then actual B. So E, B, A, E, B minor 7, and then one more time, E, B, A, and then E, B minor 7, and then two times, two times, and then four, and they end the song on the E chord, on the E, or E major. So this song happens to be in the key of E, starts on E and ends on E. Bye Bye Love by the Chords. Next up is a song from 1986 that you guys will all know, and that's coming up soon. You guys have an awesome night. See you shortly on the next one. See ya.